Good morning, good morning. So I'm 55 years old and I would like to share with you guys some things I would do differently if I could go back to my younger self, about 15 years old. I'm 55. I'm going to do this for 5 minutes and I want to share with you guys some tips that I would change if I could talk to my old self and tell my old self I would do certain things different. Number one, when I was in high school, I got bullied a lot by fellow cheerleaders, and they would constantly tell me I was fat, and they would just bully me and belittle me, and I would not stand up for myself. Instead, I would just take it and take it. I don't think I was fat. I was 105 pounds with a 25-inch waist. But it's crazy when people make fun of you and they're belittling and they bully you, how you begin to identify with that reality. So I would starve myself and I would go 3 or 4 days without eating. I would live off a Diet Coke and I constantly sabotaged myself with my own health because I just wanted to be accepted. So number one, I would not tolerate that anymore. Number two, I would constantly look in the mirror like I do now, and I say the declarations of Christ over my life. You are loved, you are cherished, you are going somewhere, you are successful. I'm the head, I'm not the tail, I'm above and not beneath, and every single thing I touch will be blessed. And I am ordered by the Lord to succeed, right? Amen. And I am beautiful and I'm wonderfully made. I call out those things that are promises of God instead of believing the lies from peers. Amen. Don't let anybody bully you. If I could go back to when I was 15, I would say, when I graduate from high school, I'm going to go to college and I'm not going to let anything deter me and make me stop before I actually graduate. And so when I went through high school, I did very well. And then I went to college and then I met my husband, past husband, and he convinced me to quit school. And I did, like, just a couple of units shy from my degree. And I regret that. I would go back and tell myself, hey, I'm not going to stop for anybody. I love you, but I'm going to finish my education. If I could go back, I would tell every mother out there, you get a side hustle. So meaning, it's always good if you want to be a stay-at-home mom like I was, and I homeschooled my kids, but you know what? I ended up 20 years later living in a car with 3 kids because I didn't finish school. I didn't have anything to rely on for a career. So I would tell my old self, hey, finish that education. Get a side hustle, whether it's real estate, esthetician, a beautician, I don't care. Have a secondary way, not because you're planning a divorce. What if your spouse dies? What if a sudden catastrophe happens and he can't work? That you have something you can tap into. So I would tell my old self that, like, don't just rely on the income from a spouse, but have your own thing, right? Not out of rebellion or but just out of self-sufficiency, right? So I would tell myself that. Another thing I would do is, if I went back, is I would eat a lot healthier. I would not have this high carbohydrate, low fat game like that was so back in the day the thing to do. I would have high fats. I would have low carb. I would eat a lot of meat. I would have a lot of whole foods that don't have any GMOs in them. And back then, I didn't know any better. Another thing, if I could tell my old self, is I would put $25 away a month. And even if maybe for my spouse and maybe for me in a separate account, although we could both have mutual on the name of it, and I would just never touch it. And that $25 just multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. And then you can reinvest it into something else if you want to, instead of struggling or just spending that Starbucks money and setting it aside. I would tell myself, hey, if I gain 5 pounds, it's okay. That I am beautiful and that I'm lovely the way God created me, whether I'm 5 pounds overweight, 25 pounds overweight, instead of self-sabotaging and having self-hatred. I'm being like, I don't want to go out in public. I don't want to go to the gym. I got to lose weight before I go to the gym. That's ridiculous. I would give myself a lot more grace, a lot more grace. I would give other people grace, but I wouldn't give myself grace. And I would dive into the word more, and I would say, God, you show me how to embrace my identity. And some of you guys have been abused and sexually when you were little, and so was I, not by family, but going back to that, I would get therapy then instead of now, so I could get past it and not bring that into a relationship. So that's just a quick little overview of me as a female, and I would probably give my kids a little bit more grace and get off my phone more and love them more unconditionally and just not put the same strict boundaries on them. I mean, I'm glad I did to a certain extent, but I would lighten up a little bit. So I hope this ministers to you. Like I said, 55 years old. I'm going to tell it to you in 5 minutes what I would have done to my younger self. Have a great day.